The children are our future. This is an undebatable fact within society. That being said, the value society puts on educators differs from community to community. It is almost surprising to see people's reaction when someone tells them that they are a teacher, or better yet, planning to become one. The latter comes with the facade of concern and questioning of your certainty. This underestimation of teachers is a culmination of many different issues. The purpose of this speech is to inform the audience about negative connotations towards early childhood and elementary teachers. In order to overcome biases, we must first understand the history of teacher education, certification, and the value placed on early childhood teaching professionals. It is only with education on what it takes to be a teacher that we can truly diminish these biases. So first, I'll define the specific community used for this speech. Teachers are anyone educating themselves to become teachers, or of course teachers themselves. For this speech, I will focus on the impact of elementary and early childhood teachers because this is due to my knowledge and experience of these content areas. Now I will establish the history of teacher education in order to fully understand its importance. The history of teaching has influenced the value placed on educators. This is in part due to the lack of standards placed on teachers in the past. It was around the 19th century that the only certification required for teachers was a basic understanding of subject knowledge and a general knowledge of teaching practices. As stated by Putnam and others in their 2002 Encyclopedia Entry Teaching, in their own words, during the first half of the 20th century, the substance and nature of teachers' knowledge was relatively unproblematic. Judging from various assessments for teacher certification of the period, teachers needed to know the content that they would teach students and have some knowledge of pedagogical practice. Pedagogical practice basically just means how to teach. It was not until the 60s that the standards for teacher certification began to progress. This has undoubtedly framed the minds of many adults on the importance of teacher education as well as teachers themselves. Current standards of teacher education are complex and ever-changing. A semi-permanent set of domains is needed in order to fully understand the importance of teachers. Said domains were greatly put by Putnam and others in their same 2002 encyclopedia entry. In their own words, teachers must have a knowledge of subject matter content, knowledge of general pedagogical principles and strategies, knowledge of learners, their characteristics and how they learn, knowledge of educational context, knowledge of educational goals, purposes, and values. Teacher practices absolutely have to be based on research. That being said, this knowledge base is constantly adapting to new research findings as well as changes in the curriculum. If it is imperative to have certified competent educators whose careers are based on student success, why do we not place a higher value on them? Moving on from the history of teacher education, we will now look at the least valued educators. Early childhood education is the foundation for later academic knowledge and success, yet it is the least valued of all educators. Most parents see early childhood education, which is technically birth through third grade, as practice for the real deal of later elementary years. This is especially true for the preschool years. This opinion is misconceived, as research has shown children receive long-term academic benefits from receiving pre-kindergarten education. As stated in the policy statement, a call for excellence in early childhood education from the National Association for the Education of Young Children, begin quote, specifically, children who experience high-quality, stable childcare, engage in more complex play, demonstrate more secure attachments to adults and other children, and score higher on measures of thinking ability and language development. High-quality childcare can predict academic success, adjustment to school, and reduce behavioral problems for children in the first grade, end quote. This is really the reason there are so many high-quality preschool programs. Without said foundation, children will be at a disadvantage once they enter first grade, the first year they are legally obligated to attend school. In truth, the preschool years, ages 3 through 5, are some of the most important. These years are often deemed the learning years in many academic sources. This is a time when their minds are much like a blank slate, with new synapses, connections, and associations forming every day. As stated by Morrow in her 2005 article, Language and Literacy in Preschool, Current Issues and Concerns, the preschool years are essential for the development of the whole child. Development of the whole child basically means the development of cognitive, social, physical, and emotional skills. These are the years where these skills are really honed in and the basic foundation is formed. So now we're moving on to overcoming this bias. If more individuals are educated on the importance of the educators who make early childhood education possible, this lack of respect will subside. Family and community involvement is crucial for a successful early childhood program. If family and community involvement is a must, how do we overcome the bias that early childhood educators are just overpaid babysitters? This starts with education. Many programs provide parent education not only on early learning but also in general parenting. Head Start is a fantastic model of this approach, and they have lots of resources as well as sites that they have preschools all over the country. Experience and seeing the results of early childhood education will also aid in overcoming these biases. Changing the public's perception of teachers will in no way be an easy process, however, it is possible. In order to change these perceptions, we must first understand where it is coming from. So the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten, she claims that the public's demonization of teachers has been exacerbated by politicians who slander teachers in the name of defending budget cuts. This was found in Heighten's 2012 article, Teachers' Satisfaction with Job Plummets, New Survey Reveals. So not everyone is falling for these educations, however, said allegations give seed to further disrespect. The truth is, the majority of people, 77%, value teachers as professionals, as found in Heighten's previously mentioned article. Despite this statistic, incoming teachers usually receive negative feedback about their career choice from adults within their communities. So, to recap, we have established the history of teacher education, the profession with the least value, and the importance of changing the negative perceptions of teachers. To conclude, all of these points are necessary in order to explain this negative bias toward teachers. Not everyone demonstrates this bias, but rather the opposite, most do not. That being said, when one is studying to become an educator, it's these negative connotations that stick out and cause the most issues. Above all, children are educators' top priority. Their success is what drives us, not public perception. In this speech, I have elaborated on the history of teacher education certification and the value placed on early childhood teaching professionals, as well as the strategies to overcome biases, education, and experience. It is my hope that this will affect future prejudices towards educators. Even if we do not accomplish this, teachers will time and again prove them wrong through their dedication, effort, and passion for educating children. If we value learning, then we must also value those who are facilitating learning on said levels.